that the Torah comes to teach us over here in this parasha. We see that there's a theme going on in this parasha from the beginning, continuing all the way through. And that actually, that theme started already last week. Just to present a couple of questions that you'll see while you're reading the parasha, Parashat Ekev. It starts off with an interesting לשון, והיה עקב תשמעון. עקב תשמעון, את המשפטים האלה, Rashi says, עקב means a hill, like עקב. עקב in לשון הקודש means a hill. Now you all know that when you read the Sefer Torah, it doesn't have any nekudot. So you're reading it, you can read it עקב or עקב. That's called יש אם למקרא, יש אם למסורת. So the Torah purposely didn't write the nekudot in them, so a person would be able to read them in various ways. So over here, Rashi says that היה עקב really means over here, the mashmaut is the hill. And Rashi adds, עם המצוות הקלות שאדם דש בעקביו תשמעון. If a person keep those mitzvot that usually he steps with his heels on them, which means these are simple, easy mitzvot that people don't pay attention to them. Some mitzvot people take very seriously because they're very serious mitzvot, so therefore they're very careful about them. But some mitzvot are not viewed by people as something too important, and therefore people step on them, which means they violate them and they don't care about them. Now, the bracha with that would be a beautiful thing. Ve'ayivcha, Hashem would love you, uverachecha, He would bless you, hirbecha, He will multiply you, berach pri fintecha, pri admatecha, which means you'll have a lot of parnasa, you'll have a nice income coming in, diganecha, tiroshecha, yitzarecha, shgar alafecha, shterot tzonecha, they are going to make you wealthy. That's what Rashi says. רבותינו אמרו, למה נקרא שמם ashterot, שמעשירות את בלעם, they make their owners wealthy. It keeps on going over here. ברוך תהיה מכל העמים, you'll be blessed from all the nations. לא יהיה בך הקר והקרה ובבהמתך, הסיר אדוני ממך כל חולי וכל עבדי מצרים הרעים אשר ידעת, לא ישימם בך ונתנם בכל שונאיך. Hashem will take away all the sicknesses from you, put them on your enemies, and it keeps on going and going. And one would ask the question over here, I understand that those blessings should come over somebody who keeps serious mitzvot, serious things, things that are really have a lot of weight. But if we're talking about those mitzvot that people step on, which means they look at it and they view them as something that's not so important, why would the blessing come in such beautiful brachot, baruch tiyeh, sir Hashem mimcha, all these things, those belong lichora to the mitzvot that are much more serious. And secondly, it says in the pasuk, והיה עקב תשמעון, Rashi says, עם המצוות הקלות שאדם דש בעקביו תשמעון. Should have said תשמעון. If you keep those things that you violate those little mitzvot, so you should keep them. תשמעון, make sure that you will keep them. תשמעון means you listen. Rashi says you will listen to them. לכאורה, the right wording would be תשמעון. You should keep those laws that people step on, and not tishmeu, you would listen. Listen, although listen means comply, but the correct lashon, we see in the pasuk later on in the parasha that you find tishmerun goes on such things. It says later on, kol ha-mitzvah asher anochi mitzvahcha hayom tishmerun. So tishmerun is the more proper lashon over here, and we'll try to explain with the following idea. We see in our parasha, in last week's parasha, let's start in order. We'll start with last week's parasha, that Hashem says that I'm bringing you to the land of Israel. And when I'm bringing you to the land of Israel, normally you come to a place, you have to plant the place, you have to build the place, you have to start your own business, you have to start building things slowly. I'm bringing you to a ready-made place. And this is how the psukim say, והיה כי הביאך אדוני אלוהיך לארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם וליצחק וליעקב לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית. It will be that Hashem will bring you to Eretz Israel, to the land that He promised Avraham, Yitzchak, and and you will receive in there cities that you did not build. What kind of cities? Those are big cities and good cities. ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית. Big cities and good cities, which means You come to Eretz Israel, you're not going to find a place like the pioneers came to Israel before 1948 to build the land. They had to dry the swamps over there. They had to make sure that they building from zero, from scratch, doing everything slowly, slowly. All they found over there was just empty ground with nothing at all and a lot of diseases, and they had to work towards building the land. Over here, says Hashem, when I'm bringing you into the land of Israel, you have over there everything already made, which means you find buildings and you find houses and you'll find bridges and you'll find anything that you would need, roads, whatever you need to have in a city, obviously according to their time and standards, but you will find a place that's ready to sit in there and dwell in there and feel comfortable and go around your day in the best way possible. Those are rim gdolot vetovot asher lo vanita. Modern cities, good cities that you did not build, all will be ready for you to come and receive. Secondly, you will find what? Batim melim kol tuv asher lo mileta. You will find houses that are filled with all the good that Hashem gives, and you did not, it wasn't you that filled it up. Asher lo mileta. Batim meleim kol tuv asher lo mileta, which means a person would come to the house that he just conquered from the Goyim, and that house wasn't a rundown house. It wasn't some kind of place that's empty with nothing in it. On the contrary, you come into that house and you find yourself in a beautiful mansion. You'll find yourself over there chandeliers, and you'll find furniture, and you'll find appliances, whatever it was in their standard, in their time. But you would find everything ready. You go into the kitchen and you open the cabinets, it would be food in there. You open the fridge, will be food in the fridge. Everything ready made. You just go in there, you sit on the sofa, and you enjoy it, and you eat, and you drink, and you rejoice. Now, one might ask, 1 minute, the food is not kosher. You go into the goy house, and you open the cabinets and the fridge and the oven, you'll find food in there, yes, but that food is not kosher. Chachamim say, Batim meleim kol tuv, that you will find in them all the good, and you'll be able, as it says over here in the pasuk, ve'achalta ve'savat, to eat, and you'll be able to be satisfied from it. Chachamim say, afilu kdire de chazira means dry pieces of pigs, of bacon, dry, which means those things you'll be able to. Chachamim say that when you come and conquer the land, you'll be able to take everything that's there, even if it's not kosher. And the Ramban explains it means kil'aim, orla, whatever you find that normally you would not be able to eat. When you conquer the land, you're allowed to take everything for yourself and eat and enjoy. The Rambam even brings this down, halacha ledorot, that when you go into a city and you conquer the city and you don't have food, you're allowed to eat what's there. Ramban asks on the Rambam that if we're talking about pikuach nefesh, of course you can eat. That pikuach nefesh is zocher kol haTorah kula. So therefore, what is trying to say over here? But that is machloket, the Rambam and the Ramban. But definitely over here in those psukim that we're talking about in the parasha, it says over here that when you go into the houses and you find batim meleim kol tuv asher lo mileta ve'achalta ve'savata, it means afilu kdira de chamira, which means even the chazira, even those dry pieces of bacon, of pig, and even more so everything else. So a person comes to a ready-made place. Secondly, what about you found cities and you found houses? What about parnasah? How would a person be able to bring food? Pasuk also, borot hatzuvim asher lo chatzavta, you'll find in wells that you did not dig, so you have already something to drink. What about food? Kramim vezetim asher lo natata ve'achalta ve'savata, which means you'll be able to get from the vineyard, from the orchards, all the fruits that you need. You go to the field and you'll be able to get your parnasah from it, and you will be able to eat and feel satisfied with it. Come to Torah right away after it gives you so much, and Hashem gives you such a blessing, and He says, all of a sudden, with a sharp turn, Hishamer lecha pen tishkach et Adonai asher hotziacha me'eretz Mitzrayim mebeit avadim. Be very careful not to forget Hashem Yitbarach that took you out of the land of Mitzrayim. Rather, et Hashem Elokecha tira, oto ta'avod, b'shmo teshavea, lo telchun acharei Elohim acherim Eloi yamim asher tzvotechem. All those things that it says over here comes right after this beautiful promise, and we need to understand why. And the answer to that must be that there's something very, very special about getting things ready. You have over there everything without working, but it comes also as something very dangerous. And what I mean by that is that many times you'll see that a person that receives things without working hard for them, usually he doesn't know how to handle them, and everything eventually breaks apart. You'll see it by people that are extremely rich. When you have somebody that's extremely rich, usually you'll see that those people, if they made their own money, which is self-made person, he didn't receive anything. He had to work dollar for dollar. He had to go and sweat it out. In the end of the day, when he makes the money, you'll see that although he has endless money, he could spend without boundaries. But you'll see that a person like that is always careful about his money. He doesn't spend without any reason. He'll be very calculated, making sure that whatever he spends, it's in the right place. He'll not gonna spend a dime and a penny if it's not needed. He'll be careful with his money. You'll see that if he doesn't need a tissue, he would not use it. I've seen people like that in my years that I went to people that were very wealthy, and I saw how they were very careful about the money. They have much easier hand of buying things without thinking twice, without looking into the savings, not thinking how and where to spend their money. And that is because they did not work for it. And when you don't work for something, you feel much easier spending that money, and you don't have any regrets for it, you don't have feelings for it, and therefore you can blow that money very easily. So that comes with a cost. Comes Hashem Yitbarach and says to Am Yisrael, be careful over here. I'm going to give you a lot of things when you come to Eretz Yisrael. When you come to Eretz Yisrael, the place is ready made. And when you get in there, you'll be able to benefit and enjoy, eat and drink, and have parnasa, beshefa, without working for it. Batim meleim kol tuv asher lo mileta. The cities, he says, ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית. בורות חצובים אשר לא חצבת, כרמים וזיתים אשר לא נטעת. But you need to be careful, since you're getting everything without any work. You're just getting in there and receiving everything on a tray of gold, on a spoon of silver. Be very careful. הישמר לך פן תשכח את אדוני אשר הוציאך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. There's over here what we call aliyah vekotzba, which means it is in one hand a great thing, but on the other hand, it's very, very dangerous. And this is how it continues in our parasha, Parashat Ekev, when the Torah again warns of the same exact thing. And the pasuk says, כי אדוני אלוהיך מביאך אל ארץ טובה, ארץ נחלי מים, מעיינות ותהומות יוצאים בבקעה ובהר. Hashem is bringing you into a land that land has rivers coming out in every place, ayanot, which means you have over there wells, tehomot yotzim babikah uvahar, coming out of mountains, of hills, eretz chita usora, gefen utena verimon, eretz et shemen utvash. You find the land that is full of all the best fruits in the world, the shivat aminim, 7 species of the best of the fruits. Eretz asher lo b'miskenut tochal balechem. You find a place that you can eat the bread, which means you bring food to the table without working hard. Lo b'miskenut, lo techsar kol ba. Nothing will be missing in the land of Eretz Yisrael. Eretz asher avanea barzel. The land is such that the stones you can make over there are iron and metal, which means you will be able to use the agriculture of the place in every possible way to build up your land. Mararea tachtzov nechoshet. From the mountains, you'll be able to take out copper and nechoshet, all kind of good things that Hashem is giving us with the land of Israel. But although you're getting everything, v'achalta v'savata, you'll be able to eat and you'll be able to be satisfied. Comes the Torah again and warns us of the same thing. ישמר לך פן תשכח את אדוני אלוהיך לבלתי תשמור מצוותיו ושבטיו וחוקותיו אשר אנוכי מצווך היום. Be careful not to forget Hashem. Same warning again in our parasha, which means Hashem is stressing this and is emphasizing again, be careful with the same things. Pen tochal v'savata, you might eat and feel satisfied, but im tovim tivneh ve'ashavta, you'll be able to build more houses, you'll be able to sit in there. Once all that you'll have, everything will be forgotten when you start making it and you get everything ready. But this is all because you came to a place with everything in there, everything ready for you. Although it says over here that you'll build a little bit more and you'll be able to get ahead with what you have and produce more, but it's still a very, very dangerous place that you are in, because you are receiving things without working hard, and once you receive something without working hard, you can blow the money and you can also forget Hashem. That's much worse than that, and therefore Hashem warns you, be careful with that. That's what the pasuk over here comes to teach us, and the pasuk in the previous parasha. With that we can understand the pasuk in Mishlei that says, Birkat Hashem itashir velo tosiv etzev hima. The bracha, the blessing of Hashem, will make you wealthy and will not bring you any etzev, any sorrow. Of course not. What kind of thing is that? What is the pasuk saying? It's a very strange pasuk. Hashem's blessing will make you rich. Once he makes you rich, he will not bring any sorrow with it. A person that wants to get a bracha, usually if you want to get a bracha in order to be able to make it, you go to a rabbi, you ask him for bracha, a local rabbi. If it doesn't work, or you need bracha for something bigger, you go to a tzaddik. You find a tzaddik in town, and you go to that biggest tzaddik, and you ask him for the bracha. If that's not enough, and that's not sufficient, because you need a greater bracha, what would you do? You go to Eretz Israel, to one of the Gdolei Ador, you go to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, you go to one of the big rabbis in Israel to ask them bracha. That bracha already is valued at much, much more than anything else that you could receive. And with all that, you still maybe not going to receive what you need. But if Hashem gives you the bracha, Birkat Hashem, when you get the blessing from Hashem Yitbarach, what do you want better than that? You're getting everything. It's for sure success. It's something that can't, lo yashuv rekam. It can't go back empty-handed. So at pasuk in Mishlei says, Birkat Hashem hitashir. The bracha of Hashem will make you wealthy. Velo tosif etzev ima, and will not bring you any sorrow. Of course not. If it makes you wealthy, how would it make you sorrow? And why would a bracha of Hashem make you sorrow? But according to the way we explained before, it means the following way. The bracha of Hashem will make you wealthy, but you're going to make it big instantly. When Hashem gives you a bracha, it says in the pasuk that ad bli dai, it would be without end. And the Chachamim adoresh this in Ta'anit Daftet, which means you sometimes get so much bracha that you say, enough, I have enough, I don't need anymore, I can't have anymore, it's too much for me. But a person, says the Gemara, would say it so many times that his lips already will be so tired that to stop, enough. That is the bracha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu when he gives and he wants to bless somebody. So the pasuk over here says, be careful, the bracha of Hashem will make you rich, but it's going to come and it's going to pour like a mabul coming on your head. And be careful when you get all that bracha that you don't do any mistakes with that. Lo tosif etzev ima, comes the pasuk and says that when the bracha comes from Hashem, it also comes with a protection plan. But you need to know that normally when you get the bracha, when it doesn't come with the protection plan, you have to be very careful. So that is what the pasuk over here means, lo tosiv etzev ima, because normally when you get bracha instantly coming down at you in such a level, you are going to be in the danger of tosif etzev ima. Comes the pasuk and says that over here it would not be the same way. And with that we can understand what Adam HaRishon was warned from Hashem Yitbarach. When Hashem Yitbarach created Adam HaRishon, it says in the Midrash Rabbah that בשעה שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את אדם, נטלו והחזירו על כל אילני גן עדן. Hashem took Adam HaRishon and he made him a tour throughout all the beautiful things that Hashem created in Gan Eden, all the trees, all the wealth, all the beautiful things that are growing there. And he showed him throughout the whole world, look at this great, unbelievable world that I just created. ואמר לו, he said to him the following warning, ראה מעשיי כמה נעים ומשובחים הם. Look at my world, how beautiful it is, how praiseworthy it is. כל מה שבראתי, בשבילך בראתי. You should know that everything that I created over here was only for you. Everything in the world is for mankind, and Adam was there, the only one to receive all that. Comes Hashem and says, תן דעתך שלא תקלקל ותחריב עולמי. Make sure that you don't ruin and destroy my world. Why was Adam Arishon receiving that bracha more than anybody else? Because Adam is receiving this all of the sun without any work. He's getting everything ready-made. When you come to this world, you receive a lot of beautiful things, but you're going to have to work in order to get everything. You want to get food, you want to bring food to the table, you'll have to work for it. You want to get married and buy a house or even rent a house, you'll have to work to get that money for the rent, and so on and so forth. But Adam Rishon received everything ready. He was put into a world that was completely there for him from A to Z, ready. You just get in there and enjoy and benefit. Comes Hashem and says, be careful, בשעה שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא את אדם, נטלו והחזירו על כל אילני גן עדן, ואמר לו, look at what I just created, everything that I created was specially for you, but be very careful when you're getting everything. תן דעתך שלא תקלקל ותחריב עולמי, because you can very easily, with the man nature of Vaishman Yeshurut Vaivat, you could be very easily destroying everything that I just created because you don't have any appreciation for it because you didn't work for it. So Hashem is showing people, showing Adam HaRishon, be careful with that you didn't work for, and have the appreciation. He shows him, look, appreciate this, appreciate that. נטלו והחזירו על כל אילני גן עדן. He showed him everything, and he built up appreciation in his heart. And that is what Chazal tell us, that רוצה אדם בקו שלו, מתשעה קבין של חברו. Which means, if you worked to make a certain success in the world, let's say a person plant some kind of fruit, and after he planted, the tree grew, and it gave him some fruits. He worked hard, he was gardening it, he was watering it, he was taking care of it until he was able to take out some fruits from there. Comes his friend from the next door and tells him, look, I saw that you were able to get few fruits from your hard work of years of planting and taking care of that tree. I have a great tree over here with 9 times the amount of what you just made. You want to trade? You'll tell him, absolutely not. רוצה אדם בקו שלו מתשעה קבין של חברו. Your fruits, although the 9 times more than I have, but I have no feelings for it, no appreciation for it, nothing to it. But over here, when I have that I put my strength and my sweat and my work to it, that I feel as something that belongs to me much more, something that I have feelings to much more, and therefore a person would not trade it in any way. Comes the Torah over here and warns us again, be very careful. We find such an idea in the world that many times, and that is something that all of us heard, and it's pretty known, that whenever a person wins the lottery, wins the jackpot, all of the sudden you think that he got the best blessing in the world, that all of the sudden he became within an instant, overnight, became a millionaire, and therefore such a person is the luckiest person. You need to know stories over stories that indicate that usually the opposite happens. When a person wins the jackpot and he wins a big extortion, a very big amount of money, that especially for their time, that already 27 years ago, such a thing would be an extreme amount of money. And in the beginning, they were able to benefit from the money a little bit, but surely, slowly and surely, they lost almost everything they had, and they got in trouble with the law. They were charged with tax fraud, and from the stress right? It wasn't too long, just from the stress of having the city and after them, the court after them, starting a trial. This man, Alex Toth, had a bad heart attack and he died from it. That's what happened to him. His wife was charged by the IRS, and she lost everything she had. She ended up owing $3 million to the IRS, and after they filed criminal charges on her, she had to go to jail for 2 years. This is how they ended up very, very bad with in that part. So you think you're getting something that is such a blessing, but sometimes it's osher shamur lebe'alav lera'ato. Chazal say that the wealth could come sometimes bring you the opposite result. Another story is someone in the name of Billy Bob Harrell Jr. that won $31 million in Texas jackpot in 1997. $31 million, such a big amount. What he did was, like a good citizen would do, he started donating the money. He donated a lot of money here and there. He gave a lot to his church, a lot to other places, but that all of the sudden brought him a lot of trouble. First of all, it attracted a lot of strangers that came all the time asking him for donations. He couldn't handle it. It was too much for him. And he became depressed. Besides of all the other things that happened to him, he also had to be separated from his wife, as normally what happens when a person hits it so big that he doesn't know how to keep his family life. And after he got depressed, and eventually, in the end, he committed his own suicide. Before dying, he told the final words to his financial advisor was that winning the lottery is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And this was the story of Billy Bob Harrell Jr. Another story that we found with the same tone is someone in the name of William Post that won the lottery in 1988. He won the Pennsylvania lottery. He got $16.2 million. And you would think that it's a great amount of money, that he could do a lot of good things, but as soon as he wins it, no one else than his brother hires a hitman in order to try to get rid of him, to kill him. And if the murder was not successful, his brother got arrested and he was sitting in prison. So that's one thing that's already started right after winning, that he lost his brother and he was in jail, and he just went through to such a case of having somebody that's trying to kill him. His ex-wife got on the case as well, and she sued him for the money that he just won. She was successful in receiving a third of his profit every month payment that he had received from the lottery. He had to give her a third of that amount. After a couple of years, he wasn't able to keep on paying. He didn't want to keep on paying her, so he refused to turn his annual payment to his wife, as the court have ordered, and because of that, he was arrested. A story after that happened, that one of the people that he had debts that he had to pay up came to his house to receive the money, and he took his gun and he fired at him. Because of that, he was sitting in jail as well. So over here, he received himself a life event one after another of terrible things that have happened to him. In the end of the day, he incurred $1 million in debt, and he had to spend the rest of his life getting food stamps until a few years later, not too long, he died in 2006. This is how he ended up. Another story is a story that happened to David Lee Edwards. He won $27 million in 2001. $27 million. Beautiful one. He spent his money over drugs, over buying cars. He even bought himself an airplane, and he blew out all the money. He didn't have anything left. 5 years later, he spent everything that he had, and he had to live a poor life until he died. He was so poor that after a few years that he died, his family didn't even have the money to bury him. They couldn't buy a burial place. They had to burn his body. So these stories are stories of people that won the big pot. And what's common denominator with all of them is that they couldn't handle the money because they received it at once and they received it without working for it. And when that happens, a person doesn't know how to handle it. Comes the Torah and warns us over here and tells us, be careful, I'm giving you everything on a silver spoon. בתים מלאים כל טוב אשר לא מילאת, ערים גדולות לטובת אשר לא בנית. כרמים וזיתים אשר לא נטעת. And with all that, you have to be extra careful. ישמר לך פן תשכח את אדוני אשר הוציאך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. And on that comes the Torah and tells us what is the correct way. The Torah just doesn't say how to be careful, but the Torah, on the other hand, also tells us what to do. And this is where the parasha starts. Now we can start the parasha. והיה עקב תשמעון את המשפטים האלה, ושמרתם ועשיתם אותם, which means, Rashi says, you have to comply and do and perform the small mitzvot, those that normally people step with their heels. עם המצוות הקלות שאדם דש בעקביו, you step on them, those you have to listen. What does it mean tishmeun, we ask, and not tishmerun? Keep them. What does it mean tishmeun? Tishmeun comes, it's a strategy of how to be able to be successful in Avodat Hashem, in learning Torah, in doing mitzvot, and in life in general. How would a person be successful? You have to do things slowly, slowly, gradually. V'aya ekev tishmeun. You have to use your heels. Heels comes to tell you that it's a step-by-step process. You go and you make the first step. And after you conquer that and you master the first step, you go to the next step. Don't jump. It says in the Pasuk, Sulam mutzav arza ve'rosho magia hashamayma. It starts from the beginning when you put a ladder all the way to the sky. You start from the bottom. You take the first step, and then you go to the second level, the third level, the fourth level. If you try to jump all the way up, you come down on the floor crushed. Ekev tishmeun et hamishpatim haele. With that, Hashem says, if you do that, then the success will be assured. Shmartem v'asitem otam, all that will come. Shamar Hashem lokech alecha et habrit. The covenant that Hashem has with us will be kept. Et hachesed asher nishba la'avodecha ha'evcha. Hashem would love you, would bless you. Berecha arbecha, afrecha, privnecha, bnei admatecha, ganecha, tiroshecha, etzecha. Why all that? Because you're doing a successful move. You're doing something towards conquering the Avodat Hashem that you all need to conquer. And that is the way the Mesilot Yesharim explains throughout his Sefer. That's all based on the Gemara in Avodah Zarah, Daf Kaf Amud Bet, that it says over there, level by level, step by step, it has to be gradually going up. Torah, מביאה לידי זהירות. זהירות, מביא לידי זריזות. זריזות, מביא לידי נקיות, which means one would lead to the other. נקיות to פרישות, פרישות to טהרה, חסידות, ענווה, יראת חטא, קדושה, רוח הקודש. You want to go all the way up, you can't just jump. You're not going to get there. The way to get there is you go step by step. You make the first step. You master the first step, you go to the next step. And that is what the parasha comes to start and tell you throughout, and this is the theme that we found throughout the whole thing, how to be successful and how not to be crushed and to fail with everything you do. But you need to know that Avodat Hashem is the same as working out. Working out works the same way. When a person goes to work out in a gym and he wants to build up muscles, he wants to be in shape, what's the usual success? So normally, when you want to be successful, what you need to do is few things. First of all, you need to know that you have to start slowly, slowly. If you take the heavy weights and you pick them up, they're going to come down, breaking your muscle, ripping your muscles. You're not going to be able to work out. If you want to take a run and you want to keep in shape, if you run very quickly, you're going to be tired within a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, each person with his own strength. But if you go slowly, slowly, you start according to your strength, and you build it up slowly, slowly, then you'll be successful. Same thing in Avodat Hashem. Don't go and jump all the way. It needs to be gradually. Also, secondly, just like in the gym, just like in working out, you have to be consistent, hatmada. You can't just work out one day and then come another 6 months. If you want to build up, you have to go do it all the time, whether it's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, every morning, whatever it is, but it needs to be behatmada, constantly, without stopping. Same thing in Avodat Hashem. A person that wants to be successful in Avodat Hashem, it's not like you work something today and you forget about it and you remember again when you hear another drasha from a rabbi that speaks about it. Rather, it needs to be avodah with constant, all the time, working on it, gradually, slowly, according to your ability, step by step. Thirdly, very important, you must do things that you like. If you go to gym and you hate working out, it's not gonna last for too long. If you're running and you hate running, but you're doing it because the doctor said so, it's not gonna last too long. A person has to enjoy and love what he's doing. And same thing, Chazal tell us in Avodat Hashem, in learning Torah, in keeping mitzvot, En Adam lamed ela makom shelibo chafetz, which means you need to have a connection, a feeling, something that you enjoy. If you do that, you'll be able to be successful. That is called loving what you're doing. And as in exercising, you have to have the right things, which means you have to have the right shoes, you have to have the right shirt, you have to have the right equipment. Well, if you're working out in a gym, the equipment over there is very important. If you take something that's not fit for you, or you're wearing your jeans and you're trying to run with them, or you're wearing your Shabbat shoes and you're trying to run with them or exercise with them, it's not going to work out. You're not going to be able to do so much with them. Same thing with Avodat Hashem. You have to have the right equipment. If you're trying to learn Gemara and you're taking a Gemara that's so old because you found it in your grandfather's house and you don't want to go and spend the $20 to buy a new Gemara, so you find over there that the wording are half missing, it was rubbed out already, some worms ate some pages, you're not understanding what it's saying, things are already got erased, you're not going to understand what it's saying and you're wasting your time. Rather, a person should buy and do and get the right equipment, whether it's that, whether it's other things. When I started doing Safrut, I saw in one of the Sfarim a very, very important yesod. It says over there that if you want to write, you have to have the best ink, the best cloth, and the best kulmus. If you don't have everything the best, if you buy cheap ink, you buy cheap cloth, you don't have a kulmus that writes good, so therefore things are not going to come along. You're going to work double, triple the time. It's not going to be as nice. You have to get everything with the best equipment. And same thing in Avodat Hashem. And finally, the most important thing is the person needs to have an agenda, a goal. I'm working towards this. I want to become this. One time I heard one of the rabbis say that the goal has to be much more than you'll be able to reach. Person wants to be Gdol Ador. So he has something that he's running and he's working for. He wants to be that. So in the end of the day, it's not going to be that. But if you're aiming towards that and you're working towards that, you'll be able to somehow push much more. But if you're aiming towards something minor, you want to be something very small, that's not going to bring you too much success. So when you take all that we learned today from the Parashat Ekev, and the introduction of last week's Parashat V'Etchanan, we come out to the beautiful understanding for the secret of success. Thank you very much.